You know what's really ironic about doing techniques? Techniques are supposed to help us get rid of resistance, but in all actuality, nowadays with this manifestation stuff, techniques are actually increasing the resistance for us. Something that was supposed to be meant for good is actually being used to cause a lot of harm. What I noticed a long time ago in working with people one-on-one, so many of us are struggling with this manifestation stuff is because of one word and one word only. And that word is a word that I heard Abraham Hicks use multiple times in her discussions, and that word is efforting. A lot of us in this law of attraction, law of assumption space, we are trying to effort our way into something, aka a substitute word for effort is simply willpower. We're trying to will our way into a certain manifestation, whatever that manifestation might be. What a lot of us are doing is we believe that the more we continue to do these techniques, aka the more we effort in these techniques, the faster we will get results. But I'm here to tell you, it simply does not work that way. You all have heard me religiously state on this channel that less is more, and that the universe always works and tries to give you what you want through the path of least resistance. This is why efforting never works. This is why affirm never works for so many of you guys. And this is why doing visualizations or affirmations every single day, hundreds of times, thousands of times, never works for you guys, because you're efforting. And efforting is not taking you to your manifestation via the path of least resistance. For a lot of you, it's taking you to your manifestation through the path of the hardest path. Manifesting any desire is supposed to be fun. You guys should wake up and be excited to do your manifestation techniques, whatever those techniques may be. But honestly, in my opinion, the vibe that I get from a lot of people is that a lot of people simply are not having fun. They don't look forward to visualizing at night. They don't look forward to scripting. They don't look forward to saying affirmations a bunch of times. And this is because, in my opinion, a lot of you are turning this into a job, which I've also religiously stated on this channel, is to not turn manifesting into a job. We must understand that manifestation is a naturally occurring process. Whether you do a technique or not do a technique, we're always constantly manifesting things in our lives. Techniques don't really have the power. It's you that really has the power. You give a technique power or you don't give a technique power. I want a lot of you guys to understand and think about in your past, whether it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever the case may be. Think about how easy it was for you guys to manifest things when you had no knowledge, you had no awareness of this type of power that you possess. Think about how much more fun you had back in the days before you knew about manifesting, and how you were actually manifesting certain things in your life with ease, whether it was a relationship, whether it was a new job, whether it was more money. But now all of a sudden you find out about manifesting, and so many of you guys are afraid to even move, afraid to even do a technique, because now you have this underlying fear in your mind of, am I doing it wrong? Do I need to do it this way? Do I need to do it every day? Do I need to do it multiple times every day? This way of thinking is simply taking the fun out of manifesting, and it is also putting you in a resistance of fear, ironically, and making it work backwards against you. It's funny because I just see so many people that I work with, and I just think back to, like, man, you guys were so much better off. And I think so many people are so much better off without knowing the intricate details of law of assumption or law of attraction, because now that you know, it's messing with a lot of your heads. And this is where that saying, and this is why that saying to me rings true to this day: ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss is one of the realest, truest statements I have ever heard, because when you are blind, when you are ignorant to a lot of things, your mind doesn't go down that rabbit hole because you're simply naive or you're oblivious to what may be going on and you have no idea. But the fact that you don't know is what keeps you sane. It's what keeps you not worrying about stuff. And I realize very few people in life can have the veil lifted and still be able to function, because once you wake up and you see what's going on in the world, or once you wake up and you find out what's really going on with manifestation and how manifestation really works, it can mess with your head. Having this knowledge, and once you're aware, it can cause you to not look at things the same. It can cause you to not look at the world the same. It can cause you to not look at your government the same. It can cause you to not look at people, men, women the same. And this is one of the negative side effects, I guess, if you will call it, that comes comes with awakening, that comes with ascending. As the old adage goes, with great knowing comes great responsibility. So if a lot of you want to ascend and go to that next level, you have to understand what comes with that. You have to understand and not be sidetracked or deterred when you see certain things happening, occurring, and not let it mess with your mental, because this is what you wanted. You wanted to ascend to the next level. You wanted to become this person that lived in the inn. You wanted to become this high executive. You wanted to manifest this best relationship. You wanted to become the best SP. You wanted people to obsess over you. So you have to understand and know what comes with that when you ask for it. With understanding that, you must understand that you don't get what you want through efforting, because now you know, okay, if I'm asking for these things and what comes with that, now you're figuring out, okay, what do I have to do to obtain these things? But understand, efforting isn't one of those things, because efforting 100% will backfire on you in most cases. Quick story, I had one of my followers send me a message with a video that talked about Ho'oponopono, and the guy in this video had mentioned how great Ho'oponopono was, but the guy in the video had also mentioned to be careful with doing Ho'oponopono, because Ho'oponopono can have a reverse effect on you, and I 100% agree with his message, because what I found in people that are trying to do Ho'oponopono in order to manifest a specific person back, or whatever the case may be, what I found is doing too much of anything can be a bad thing in most cases. So when you're constantly affirming the Ho'oponopono prayer, especially in a time where you don't need to do it, then what you could end up subconsciously doing is you could find yourself blaming yourself for something that you shouldn't be blaming yourself for. You could be finding yourself taking responsibility for something that you shouldn't be taking responsibility for. So I want you guys to be careful about doing Ho'oponopono or any other technique, because it can 100%, in my opinion, have a negative effect if you're doing it way too much, or if you're doing it at times when you don't need to do it. And this is what I explained to this viewer that sent me this question. I explained to the viewer that you don't need to do Ho'oponopono all the time. You can do it in times where you feel anxiety rising up. You can do it at times when a memory pops up that you thought about and you can tell that it's really affecting your mind and your state of being at that time. You can do it then, but you shouldn't, in my opinion, every day waking up, you shouldn't be necessarily doing the Ho'oponopono prayer if there is no need. If you feel like you still need some sort of cleansing, that's totally fine with doing the Ho'oponopono prayer. But if you feel like there is no cleansing, if you feel like there's no need for you to do it, but you want to just do it just to do it, I would be very cautious and very careful of that, because again, you don't want to retrain your subconscious mind to make it sound like you are at fault for something when you're not at fault for something, because indirectly you could end up starting to blame yourself for certain situations that could ultimately start to end up becoming your reality. Now, with that being said, I want to ask you guys a question. What energy have you been using to attract? Have you been using a confident energy or a desperate energy? Because in my opinion, efforting is desperate energy. You see, when you guys do these law of attraction techniques, in my opinion, you don't want to do these law of attraction techniques from a place of desperation. And that is the exact place that a lot of you guys are doing these techniques from. You're doing these techniques from a place of desperation simply because you feel like you're running out of time, or you need said manifestation at a certain time frame. But according to Neville, that's simply not the case. In one of Neville's lectures, he mentioned how time works with manifestation. And he simply mentioned it by looking at how all of the things manifest in our lives when the time is right. He mentioned that it takes a human 9 months to be born. He mentioned that it takes a horse, I believe, 12 months in order to be born. And he mentioned that a hen or a chicken, whenever it takes them to lay eggs, it takes whatever their time frame is. I forget, maybe 20 something days, something like that. He goes down to different time frames, and he simply is telling everybody every manifestation has its appointed time. It doesn't happen when you want it to happen, but it happens at the right appointed time. And so what I'm seeing is you guys causing a lot of your own anxiety, because you're efforting and doing all of these techniques in hopes that you're going to get whatever it is that you want overnight and get it fast. When we know now, by watching my channel especially, that that's just not going to be the case for many of us. And I've also said to you guys religiously, just because you affirm for 3 days straight or a week straight and you don't see any movement doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing it wrong. But see, that's the problem with so many people, is you guys think that because you're affirming for 3 days straight and you haven't seen anything, you think and assume that you are doing it wrong. You have to stop attaching fast results as an indicator to something that you're doing it right. See, what a lot of you think is you think that if you get fast results with something, that must mean that you're doing it right. If you take a long time to get results, then that means you're doing it wrong. I'm here to tell you, get rid of that thought process ASAP, because that thought process alone is causing you guys a ton of anxiety. I assure a lot of you guys are doing techniques right, and you haven't seen what you want to see. And it's not because you're doing it wrong, but simply because the time isn't right yet. So don't stop doing a technique just because you haven't seen results yet, because I think a lot of you have stopped doing techniques because you haven't seen results. But what you don't realize is if you would have just stuck with that technique, maybe for another week, maybe another 2 weeks, maybe another month, 2 months, whatever the time frame is, you might have seen certain movement in your 3D that you wanted to see. But a big component of seeing movement that you want to see goes back to my earlier point. And that point was, what kind of energy are you using to manifest? Are you using desperate energy, or are you using confident energy? I want all of you to understand something. You cannot, and I've said this in my past videos as well, you cannot lie to the universe. Lying to the universe is so pointless because you came from the universe. The universe knows, source energy knows, God knows exactly what frequency you are vibrating at all times. It knows your beliefs at all times. Lying to the universe is like a child lying to their parent. For all of you guys out there that have kids, it's like a sixth sense. You guys know when your child is lying to you. You can just feel it. Or for those people out there that might be in a relationship, you know, you might have a sixth sense of when your partner is lying to you. You guys can just tell because you guys are connected and you guys are on the same frequency, that same wave. When you're on the same frequency and same wave with a person, this is when psychic abilities like telepathy can always start to kick in, and it can happen more and more and more frequent because you are on that same length. You know how they think, you know how they act, you've been around them, you've picked up on their spirit, you've picked up on their vibration. So telepathy between couples, telepathy between mothers and children or fathers and children, it becomes extremely easy. So like I'm saying, you guys know when somebody's telling the truth or when somebody's lying. We are no different when it comes to communicating with the universe, because as we know now, we communicate with the divine matrix. We communicate with God through our feelings. Neville says, feeling is the secret. Based on our feelings, the universe knows how we really feel about any given topic. Every living thing you see in this universe is an extension of God, is an extension of source energy, is an extension of whatever name you want to use. Whether it's animals, whether it's nature, whether it's us humans, we are all a living extension of that energy and are attached to that energy forever and ever. So please don't think that you can try to have one up on the universe, or you can try to trick the universe. You cannot trick the universe. You cannot try to ask for things with hidden motives, because that's something that I mentioned in one of my past videos, is asking for things with hidden motives. There's no such thing as asking for things with hidden motives. The universe always knows your motives, as I'm stating right now, because we're always constantly attached to it, and it knows your real meaning. It knows your truth behind anything you want to manifest. It knows how you really feel about manifesting a specific person. It knows how you really feel about money. It knows how you feel about men. It knows how you feel about women. It knows how you feel about politics. You can't run. Essentially, what this means too is you cannot run from yourself, which is what so many people do in this manifestation space. And what so many people do that don't know about manifestation is we run from ourselves. You cannot run from the universe, and you cannot run from yourself. You're going to take yourself with you everywhere you go. And this is why waking up is essential. I had a very, very good friend of mine who created problems some years back, and he tried to run from himself by moving from one part of the country to another part of the country. I specifically told him, we got into a big argument, a big fight. And I told him before he left, I said, you cannot outrun yourself. I said, you're running from yourself. That's why you're moving. You're not moving because you want a new start. You're not moving because you think it's going to be better over here. I said, no, you're moving because you're running from the problems you created. Running is not the answer. Running is never the answer, which is what I'm saying. You cannot run from the universe. You cannot run from yourself. You're going to take yourself with you. Doesn't matter if you move to a new country. You're going to take yourself with you. You're going to take your problems with you. You're going to take your mentality with you. You're going to take your subconscious mind with you. How many different ways do I need to say it? And sure enough, my friend moved to a different part of the country, and all the problems that he had, he brought those same problems with him. The way that he thought, the way that he acted, he took that same mentality with him, and nothing changed. And it's been years. This friend of mine is still pretty much stuck and still hasn't woken up yet. Why? because you can't outrun yourself, just like you cannot outrun the universe. Just like you cannot trick the universe, you cannot trick yourself. With that being said, you want to use the right energy. You want to use the confident energy. You want to use the energy of knowing. You want to use that space in order to attract what it is that you want to attract. If you want to chase a goal, if you want to collapse time and space, you don't do that, in my opinion, by setting goals and chasing goals. What you want to chase, or what you want to become, is you want to chase a character. You want to become a character. You see, when you have desperate energy and you are that same old version of yourself and you're constantly efforting and affirming, that's you efforting and doing affirmations as the old man, as Neville would say. You don't want to do affirmations and visualizations, etc., in the form or in the body of the old man. You want to do your affirmations and your visualizations, etc., in the form of the new man. Right now, as I'm making this video, I am not Marv from 5 years ago. I'm not Marv from 10 years ago. I am being the version of Marv that I see myself being right now and for the future. When I do any technique, whatever that technique may be, I'm not doing that technique from the version of my old self. I'm doing that technique from the version of my high self. So with that being said, like I was saying, don't chase goals, don't write goals, chase the character. Because if you become the character, if you become the person you want to be, whether that's a person that is in a relationship, the most fulfilling relationship, whether that's a person that has a lot of money, whether that's a person that owns a big business, whatever that case may be for you, whatever that fulfillment goal is for you, if you simply become that person, guess what? You naturally collapse time and space. This is how you collapse time and space without having the plan or without knowing what the plan is necessarily. Because once you chase that character, once you become that character, what happens next is you must start to think and act of that future character. So you need to start thinking and acting how that person would behave. So for instance, if I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, I need to think and act, how would a YouTuber with 100,000 subscribers behave? How would that YouTuber that has 100,000 subscribers think? How would he move? What would that YouTuber talk about? How would that YouTuber go about branding himself, or whatever the case may be? I need to start thinking and acting like that future version in order for it to come to fruition in my reality. But see, a lot of you aren't using that confident energy of your future self in order to live in the end of your wish fulfilled. You are thinking of your future self while presently in this current state being your old self. And this could be a major key as to why you can't bridge that gap that's holding you up from getting whatever it is that you want to get. You see, once you become that version or that character that you want to be, you'll start to make decisions, and you'll start to think the way that future person will think. You'll start to behave and do those types of things. And what's gonna happen is you'll naturally start to know what to say yes to. You'll naturally start to know what opportunities to turn down. You'll naturally start to know what opportunities to accept. You'll naturally start to know what direction to go towards, because you're thinking and acting as if you are already that future person. If you are a millionaire, how would a millionaire act? Would a multi-millionaire potentially spend his time doing low quality, low value things? No, a millionaire would not spend their time doing low quality, low value things. So if you become that millionaire now, actually what you're gonna start doing is you're gonna start picking up those millionaire habits, because you know how millionaires think and you've become that character. If you are trying to attract a specific person back, or if you're trying to attract a new specific person, if you're trying to become a wife, whatever the case may be, you have to ask yourself, how would a wife behave? If I'm a wife, would a wife still be going out clubbing every weekend? If I'm a wife of a man that I love with all my heart, would a wife be wearing X, Y, and Z? Would a wife be posting X, Y, and Z on Facebook? Would a wife be bashing men? Would a wife be bashing her husband all day? Whatever the case may be. See, you guys gotta ask yourselves, are you becoming what it is that you want to attract? Are you becoming that character? Because a lot of you out there, you want to become wives, but you don't have wife behavior. If you were a wife, would you be entertaining different men? If you were a husband, would you be entertaining different women? If you were a husband, would you be going out drinking every night with the fellas? No, you wouldn't. So this is what I mean when you have to start embodying that character of who it is that you want to be. You have to start now Before you become a wife, before you become a husband, you have to become that character. You have to start doing what a wife would do. You have to start doing and acting as a husband would act. This is the type of confident energy that you use to attract. This is how you get out of the desperate energy that you've been using for so many months or years in order to try to attract what it is that you want. Stop efforting, stop doing all of these things and making it feel like a job. You don't chase your goals and dreams. You attract your goals and dreams. And the way you do that is by not chasing your goals and dreams, becoming the character. And what inevitably is going to happen is you're going to wake up one day and be like, once I stop thinking about becoming a millionaire, once I stopped thinking about becoming the perfect partner, and I actually started being and behaving and I became the perfect partner, once I did that, boom, my perfect partner showed up right away. My money showed up right away. I thought I had to do all of this crazy efforting. I thought I had to do all of these affirmations every day for the next 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever the time frame. I thought I had to do all of these visualizations, thought I had to do all of this scripting, thought I had to do all of these walking meditations. I didn't have to do any of that. It's gonna wake up one day and hit you. I didn't have to do any of that. All I literally had to do was start acting and behaving right now in this present moment as my future self would act and behave of whoever it is that I want to be. Then that bridge was gapped and I crossed it, and now I am who I want to be.